Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I am your host, Ricky Camilleri. Black Lightning's first season has been blowing audiences away with a signature style never seen on TV and a villain also never seen on TV. Marvin Jones is Tobias Whale, the cool, psychotic leader of the 100 Gang. Before we bring Jones out, let's take a quick look at a clip from Black Lightning.
Dwayne.
Mr. Whale.
I just wanted to thank you for saving my life. In the chaos of the night, you were brave enough to pull me to safety, and I can appreciate that.
You're welcome, sir.
But you left my sister. And left Tori to die.
If I went back, they would have gotten you too.
You left her to die. You're so impulsive. It feels good to be back.
Everybody, please welcome Marvin Jones.
How's everybody doing? Hey.
Mr. Jones, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you for having me. This is an
Congrats on
honor
the
and a
show.
privilege. Thank you. So
I mean, what a great show. Like I said in my intro, I don't think we've seen a superhero show like this on television. And I don't think we've seen a villain like you on television before.
No, it's a first. Both of us are first, the show and the villain. It's a wonderful thing to be a part of. It's an honor and a privilege to be a part of something so impactful and meaningful at a time like this, you know, and it's very polarizing, I think. You
think the show is?
The show is, yeah.
Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think it allows us to look at, you know, the way we view the world and actually what's happening in the world, you know, when in the sense where the family is seeing the man that is Jefferson Pierce sees things a certain way already, and then the hero that is Black Lightning kind of conflicts that sometimes, and they go through that. But it's the struggle in all of us, I think, between the good and the evil.
Talk to me about getting this part, because you're amazing in this role. You're
Thank
perfect.
you, man. I appreciate
So what was
that.
your audition like? What was it like when you walked in? Did you have the laugh down already? Did you?
The laugh.
There it is. Seems like it might just be your laugh.
No. The audition process was amazing because, to be perfectly honest, I had heard of Black Lightning, but I wasn't too familiar with all the inner workings, you know, that the different characters, the daughters, Lady Eve, and even Tobias Whale. So when I got...
He looks a little bit different in the comic. He's a bit...
Thank you.
He's a bit bigger than you in the comic, you know?
I like to consider myself a slimmer, sexier
You're a
version.
much more fit version of Tobias Whale.
So, and thank you for that. When I did my homework too, it's funny you say that, because I was a little concerned when I got the part. When I got the audition, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be big enough.
Am I gonna have to gain like 250 for this?
I'm not this guy. Do they see me like this? You know, you look like, is this how they see me? But no, luckily the show's on the CW, which is a station, a network full of beautiful people, and I fit right in there. So the character was something that I at first had a little concern with, but when I was doing the audition process and as I learned the character, I had to do an audition process 4 times. And each time I got closer to the character. We became closer to each other, and I saw more similarities in him than I thought I would in the beginning. And not just being an African American with albinism, you know, him having such a need that has to be fulfilled by any means necessary. I related to that too. So it was just a great process. It was nerve-wracking, to be perfectly honest, because it was about a month long. And I read about 3 times. The last time was in a room quite like this, very similar.
It's like this many people.
Yeah, with this many people, seriously.
Right, all the network executives, the writers,
the writers, yeah, the producers, yeah. It was like this many people, maybe a little more. And on a stage with the lights, and you know, did my due diligence and got the part. Thank God.
Now, when you go into audition for a villain, do you go in and say, okay, this is the villain, I'm going to underplay this because maybe that's what they want? Or do you go in and like, ha, 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 I'm the villain? Or do you kind of try to take it down?
Nah.
I mean, I guess I've never gotten the part. Maybe
I
that's
think if
why.
I was, you know, I don't, depends on who the villain is, maybe. But for this particular part, right. But I love how you say that because that happens. And you think sometimes, you know,
Well, you read in a script, villain, and then there's like, he says, you know, you act impetuously, and then he laughs. You're like, oh, okay, that's the villain laugh. So how do I actually make that real and grounded?
I think that you have to look inside of yourself, and I like how you said, you know, kind of play it down. You know, don't try to overact or overdo it to where it seems unnatural or unreal, and be honest with yourself. Be truthful. I think we all have, I like to say this, you know, whether people agree or not, I like to say that we all have a villain inside of us. I think we work and make choices on a daily basis to suppress that particular spirit in us. And as we should. That's the right thing to do, right? The moral thing to do. And the fun part, though, of being an actor is you get roles like this where you're able to explore that part of yourself, you know, that part that you suppress every day. You can bring it to the forefront and play with a little bit and then do and act in some ways that isn't you, normally ever would be you, and give the world something else to look at inside of themselves that they don't have to actually take part in.
Get a little catharsis at the same time, maybe.
Totally.
Now, there's only 2 episodes left of the season, right? Which means a showdown of some kind
you have to watch.
Is coming.
You have to watch. We just showed a clip from the episode that
Yeah.
I haven't even seen yet, honestly.
Well, I've seen some previews for the upcoming episodes, and they tease a little showdown.
Yeah.
So we can say that there's
there's a little bit of a showdown between Tobias Whale and another character.
There we go. What was it like getting to do that scene, getting to do a little fisticuffs?
That was incredible. For the series, if you've been following the series, that was my second fight. And I mean, just, you know, going into the role and it being, you know, the pivotal role that it is, I had no idea of all the different things that I was going to have to do, you know, through the arc of the story. You got 13 episodes here, and then when you start, you know, you get only so many of the scripts to kind of look at to develop your character. So as the show developed, and every episode, my characters began to do more and more things that involved physicality, you know, and other aspects of my acting ensemble. So when we came to episode 12, after doing a fight scene in 7, which was huge for me, it was my first ever fight scene as an actor. You know, full-on action. I don't know if you saw that episode in the cage, but full-on action, and I did a lot of preparation for that, you know.
What kind of preparation?
Yeah, training, and shout out to the whole stunt team, to Danny, and all the guys that helped me out, man. Dave, Thomas, wonderful cast of guys. They work on everything that is action, you know, from Black Panther to John Wick on down. They're a great team of guys. And they came.
The John Wick guys with you. You're going to be in good hands, I think.
Totally, I think so. Yeah. I love the John Wick series.
It's like the best action. It's like the best fight scenes in years of movie making.
Yeah, so good. So having those guys, you know, motivated me to want to rise to that occasion, of course, right? And then like knowing their resume and knowing like, okay, here I go, right? And here's Black Lightning, this incredible show that we're on, and it's a superhero show, even though it's a family show, it's a superhero show. So the fight scenes are important as any scene, if not the most, right? For the, you know, the validity of the character. When we got to that point of the fight, the first fight in 7, I spent about 3 weeks to a month every day in just training. Wow. Every day, man, every day. Well, they couldn't only work me so much because I'm an actor. So, yeah, man, I say about 4 out of 5 days out of the week, and for about 5 hours to 8 hours a day each time, training for that particular one fight. And that fight only goes a minute, if that, 2 minutes.
It's got to look real. It's got to look
real, and it's got to feel real to me and the opponent on the other side. So I focused on the actual training and the physicality of it, because, you know, anything that you're going to put your body through, you want to make sure that it can handle that. I did that. Coming along down the line to episode 12 that airs tonight, I was able to exercise that again and do a little more fighting, a little more training, of course, and preparation for the physicality part of it. That's something that going into the role, I had no clue was going to be put on me. And when it was something for me. It was like the most challenging part and the best part because it allowed me to grow and rise into that occasion.
When did you first start acting?
2010.
How did that happen?
2011.
What were you doing?
Well, I was a musician for about, at that time, 11 years, 12 years at that time. And I've been a musician for a long time, ghostwriter and writer for other people.
Anyone specific that you ghost wrote for that we would know, or that you wrote
Snoop
for?
Dogg.
Right.
You know, I mean, he's public about that. There's a couple other people, Dr. Dre, of course, Exhibit, of course, who I worked closely with. We were in a group together, and he gave me big breaks in music. And I was able, you know, to his credit, see him transition, Exhibit that is, from music into film and television, you know, and I was a youngster, or younger than I am now, and I was able to witness that at close proximity, and that kind of gave me the idea that, I mean, you know, of course, Ice Cube and Mos Def and all these cats, you know, prior to Exhibit, gave me that idea, but they weren't necessarily tangible to me at the time. He was right in front of me. I was around him every day. So I was able to witness his transition. And that kind of sparked me and inspired me to know that it can be done.
That's an incredibly important part of the entertainment industry that I think people don't talk about enough, is that it doesn't feel tangible often if you're not in proximity of other people making those leaps, because those leaps seem so
lofty.
Lofty.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you get that manager? Or how do you get this part?
It's so true, man. I'm glad you said that, because that is so true. And you know, it's one thing that I have learned is that it's key to find those mentor figures that are in close proximity, and it's also key to find those mentor figures that aren't, and hold them in the same regard. So as you learn to, you know, to get and to soak up from your mentors that are in close proximity, you can find that same energy and soak that energy up from afar, almost like satellite, you know? And I think that both of them are extremely helpful, you know, when you want to have something that's tangible. Because in truth, when it's far out, it doesn't seem as tangible. But when you have that variation between the two, of the one that's in proximity and the one that's far out, you can utilize them the same way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So then you're seeing Exhibit. He's growing into an actor.
Yeah,
and
incredible actor.
Did you start auditioning? Did you start what did you do?
Kind of, yeah. Well, in the beginning, I didn't start auditioning. What I did was start to prepare myself for the opportunities that may come, because what I did see was that he had been doing it so long and at a certain level, and that these opportunities revealed themselves by him just being open and staying active and working. And one thing that I have to say, if Exhibit is watching this somewhere, I have to thank him, because he gave me so much encouragement and advice and direction on ethics. Not necessarily much else. I mean, other things he did, but I'm saying as far as the things that stick with me on a daily are the ethics that he gave me about the hard work and the dedication. And, you know, if you just keep doing it and you keep doing it and you keep doing it, opportunities and more windows will open. I saw that in his career firsthand. And sure enough, as I continued my music career and as my music career developed, opportunities to act came to me. They presented themselves to me. And it started with some small internet stuff, and then moved on to a network television show with Harry's Law. And then, you know, here we are 7 years later, you know, from my beginning. And I'm, you know, a series regular on, you know, one of the biggest shows on television. So,
did you ever feel your albinism, excuse me.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like, especially when you were going into acting, that was going to be something that you had to overcome, or felt like a setback for you at all? Or has it always been something that you've been like, fuck it, I'm rolling?
Yes and yes. Yes and yes. I love that question, and my answer to it is yes and yes. Being an African American with albinism is something that throughout my life I've faced extreme adversity and bias from my own people and those that are not of my race and culture. At the same time, I have utilized that bias to catapult me into a position where I like to consider myself an odd defier. So when and that's my mission in life, is all of these things, these boundaries that have been set before me, to defy them and to exceed past anyone's expectation. But surely I face bias and ignorance, mostly a lot of times from my own people. And then it's again, if you don't have someone who has albinism in close proximity, right, then you're going to be far removed from it, and you're not going to know exactly how to relate to it. But I utilize those things, to motivate me, to inspire me, again, like I say, to defy the odds. And I think both of those correlate to where I am now. The bias and the discrimination, right? And the willingness to say, I'm not, F that, you know what I'm saying? We're going to go this way with it and take on that as a power for myself. So that's pretty much what landed me here today, I think.
When you got the sides, or you got the call to go audition for Tobias, was there a part of you that was like, okay, I got this. This is mine.
No. I never get, one thing I don't do, especially in work, is get overly confident about anything. I don't believe all the nice things they say or all the bad things they say. So I stay right there in the middle of like.
I don't believe the bad. I don't believe the nice things. The bad things, I'm like, that's true.
No,
human.
That's our human nature, right? Of course. No, I do that too. But one thing in, my growth and development that I have learned is that that's how we stay, in the good side of ourselves, the good graces of our thoughts, right? Because as a man thinketh, so is he, right? So we have to be in the good graces of our thoughts. So we can't believe all the nice things that they say, and we can't believe all the negative things that they say. We got to know that all of it is kind of, And it's most importantly what we say about ourselves that is going to take us to where we want to go.
There's probably a little bit of truth in both, so it's better to stay in the middle.
Yes, indeed.
Let's get some questions from our audience. Who's a question? Right here.
Hi. Oh my God,
Hey.
huge fan. I love the show.
Thank
I watch
you. I
every
love you.
CW
Thank you.
show. So
Thank you.
I think this show is also feels very real compared to like Flash or Supergirl, that stuff.
That's our point. Yes.
Yeah. My question is, do you think there will be a season 2, and if there
We got renewed last week. I don't know if you heard, but yes.
Really?
By the grace of
Congratulations.
God.
Give it a
Thank
round
you.
of
Yeah.
applause.
Yeah, we got renewed last week, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Shout out to Salim Akil and Mara Brock Akil, the creators of our show. They are geniuses, and they are a superpower and superheroes in television. And yes, they created this show that is Black Lightning, and a number of wonderful shows, Girlfriends, The Game, Being Mary Jane. The list goes on. And Black Lightning is their newest addition to that list. And again, we just finished filming season 1. We're airing 12 tonight and 13 next week. And hopefully we'll be back shooting season 2 before you know it. And we'll be back at it. Indeed.
Next question.
Hi.
Hey.
So since this is a show that feels very authentic and real, but superpowers aren't real, I was wondering if you had, if you were able to think of any superpower you would apply to yourself in this world, what would it be and why?
That's a very good question. I would take away pain. And I don't necessarily mean physical pain, because I think that's an inevitability of life. In order to have life, you have to go through physical pain, right? Women know this. We don't know that. But women know this, right? So that part, I don't know if I could do much about it. But the emotional and mental pain that we suffer as a human race from each other, too, the happenings of each other, from our parents or workmates or classmates or boyfriends and girlfriends, exes and present, I would like to, give people a healer for that. I think that's a secret. Some people know the secret to it, and some people keep it to themselves.
I think we have time for one more. Who do we got?
Hi.
Hey, man.
So you seem much nicer than your character on the show.
Good.
I was wondering, like, do you feel like, like Black Lightning is supposed to be a community leader in the show, and do you feel like your character is sort of like that too, but just using more force, trying to elevate the people around him?
I totally do. If you know the backstory on Tobias Whale, my character started off in politics. He was a politician, and he was one who came in to help the community. And I think because of his upbringing and the things that he deals with emotionally and internally, he went on the corrupt side of things. And that corruption eventually got him ousted from politics. I think somewhere in him, the human side of him wants to be the leader that everybody respects and looks to for the guidance. He has issues. Tobias Whale has a lot of issues. Looking at the series, you see where a lot of them stem from his childhood, the way he was raised, and not necessarily his albinism, but how his albinism was perceived. It's not necessarily the condition itself, because the condition is a God-given one for great merit, but it's the way it's been perceived and the way it's been treated by those around him in his community. I think that motivates some of his ideas from politics now to the underworld.
Marvin, I love the show. Congratulations. We got 2 more episodes left,
yes,
right?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Second to last one's airing tonight.
And it's a great one, y'all. Please watch and hit me up online. You guys that are here and those that are online watching, please let me know what you think, because it was the most strenuous for me physically. And when you watch it, you'll know why.
Everybody, please give a round of applause for Marvin Jones. Let's hear it.
Thank you, guys.